Hi, and welcome to another video from me, Mark Carp, of the Northwest Carp and Anglers Diary fishing blogs. Today I'm back on the River Severn and I'm feeder fishing for barbel. Coming up in this episode, I'm going to take a look at a couple of different types of feeder. We're going to talk feeder tactics, and then we're going to put those tactics into action and see if we can catch a barbel. In the meantime, let's take a look at the bait I'm using, and I'll give you a little tip for keeping bait in your swim despite the ravenous hordes of roach and dace that inhabit this river. Take a look at this. The good thing about using hemp is the barbel love it. They absolutely love the stuff, and of course it gets into every little nook and cranny, so they love grubbing about for it. So more of me hemp water to mix this up. This one's going to be quite wet, I think. I might have put a little bit too much in there, but we'll see as we go along. Okay, so there's my ground bait. My next batch is mixed and that's ready to go. All we've got to do now is, well, I'm going to boil some of it up and some of it's going in the feeders, but I'll just stick an extra couple of balls in up to make it up to 20 from the 17 I've got in. So there's one, another big pellet. So when those balls are broken up, and I'm sure the little ones are going to ravage all the pellets, the small pellets and the hemp. At least I know there's 20 odd decent sized pellets there that roach can't whittle down. Roach and minnows, they're going to be there for hours, so there's at least some scent still going to be there even after the ground bait's been whittled away. So that'll do. That's to go in the feeder during the next hour or two. These three are going in the river, so I'll just top me swim up with these, and then we'll take a look at the swim feeders I'm using and the tactics I'm using today. And you might find them quite interesting because they really do work. So just get these in. Stay tuned and we'll deal with the feeders next. Okay, so feeders for barbel fishing. I've actually got two. This one you've seen at the beginning of the video is an open-ended cage feeder. Okay, it's a hole right through the middle, big holes in the top. When I plug that with ground bait and pellets, it's going to wash out pretty quick. Okay, so when it goes onto the bottom, it's going to empty out really, really quickly. Okay, the opposite of that is this one. This is a korum slow release feeder. Now it's very, very different. It's got closed sides with just a couple of holes in, very, very small holes in the top, and a grill across the front there. And the only way to get the bait in is through the back up this opening. So we stuff the bait in and it releases a lot slower. Okay, so that's a slow release feeder, and I use these in conjunction with each other, one on each rod. Okay, so one rod has a cage feeder and one rod has a slow release, and I treat this one as a kind of a single hook bait, so you can drop it in anywhere in the river, it'll release slowly and you just fish it basically on its own. That's how I use it. Okay, so that's a slow release feeder, and this one, the cage feeder, I use for fishing on a patch of bait. Okay, so they're the two feeders I've got. This particular one is Guru. I like this one because the lead's around the outside here and it holds bottom really well. Okay, and this one from Korum, it's flat lead across there, you can see, and that just sits on the bottom and releases feed really slowly. They're both really good. You can use any open-ended feeder or any old-fashioned block end feeder, either will do, but these just happen to be the two that I use, and they're the two that were in the shop at the time. Okay, but they do the trick and they do the job. Okay, so now you've seen the feeders I'm using, what about the tactics? Well, let's talk about them now because they're quite important. Okay, so feeder fishing tactics for barbel. Let me show you the diagram. I'll bring it in from this side. Okay, so the diagram is of my swim on the River Severn roughly. As you can see, there's a black oval patch which is my main baited spot. Okay, and I will use the cage feeder on this spot. Okay, so I'll put in a load of ground bait, the balls that you've seen before with the big pellets in the middle in case they get whittled down. I'll put 30 or 40 of them in at the start, and then I'll keep topping up. I'll put a feeder full in roughly every half an hour, and I use the cage feeder for that. That's the feeder that goes on the baited patch, so the black oval patch that you can see there. Okay, and I'll keep putting that feeder in every half an hour at least, and then as we get towards evening time I'll increase it to every 20 minutes. As I get towards the last 2 hours it'll be every 15 minutes, and as I get to the last hour it will start going in every 10 minutes, and I'm building that feed and the momentum of the feed going in, hoping that the barbel will come onto it, and if you do, we get a bite. Okay, so that's my main line of attack, the main bed of feed, because it's always sending a scent trail down the river for the fish to latch onto. Okay, and as it draws them in, then we start getting the bites. Okay, so that's the cage feeder on the main baited spot, which is the black oval shape on the diagram. Now you'll notice 4 red dots around that for other different spots, and they're for the slow release feeder. Okay, remember I said this was likened to a single hook bait. You jam the feed in, it releases very very slowly and keeps a scent trail going over your bait for longer. And I use this fished off the side of the baited patch. So looking at the diagram, spot number 1 is probably the one I use the most. I call it the tail end of a baited patch, and what I'll do is I'll have my baited patch with the cage feeder on, and I'll fish this one slightly downriver, okay, and in what I call the tail. And the idea is that your baited patch has got the scent going down, the feeders are aligned in the flow, so the scent's coming over this one as well as the little bit that's coming off the feeder. And if you draw and barbel in, as the barbel come up, the first one it'll hit will be this one. So it'll get you a bite on difficult days, and if the fish are feeding well, obviously it'll get you a bite as soon as you start fishing. But yeah, the feeder in the tail is really good. Now I'll also use this feeder off the side, left or right. Okay, and the reason being, barbel don't just move up and down the river, they'll glide across the currents from side to side, and they'll come in and out of your scent trail that's going down the river. And when they do, if you've got a single feeder parallel to your baited patch but not on it, if they find that, there's a good chance they'll pick it up. If you consider it look like a single hook bait off the baited patch, if you like. And I picked this tactic up, believe it or not, from Reedsmere carp anglers. Back in the 1990s, they'd have a patch of bait at 70 or 80 yards to fish for the carp, and then they'd use a single off the side of it to pick off wary fish that got fed up of being, hammered on the baited patch. And that's where it came from. And I first used it on the river when I was fishing for weaver carp, and I would put a baited patch in. At the time I was fishing with 5 kilos of hemp and 200 or 300 boilies for river carp overnight, and I'd have one bait on the patch and one bait off it on a single, and the single, believe it or not, produced 80% of me 20s on the weaver. So it's a good tactic and it really works. It picks off those difficult to catch fish, any fish that will hold back, and they're usually the bigger ones, aren't they? Let's be honest. They'll hold back slightly, maybe just pick little bits off and let the others go in first. Those difficult to catch fish will quite often fall to the bait off the side of the patch. Okay, so that's the tactics I'm using today. I've got a baited patch and one which I'm going to fish around it, either up or down, above it, to the side. I will move this around as I see fit. Okay, and once it's in situ, I'll leave it there for much longer, so it may stay there for an hour or two, or even 3. Sometimes I'll leave it there the whole session. And they're the tactics I'm using today. Slow release feeder off the side of a patch of bait, which comes from this. Okay, and there's the diagram for it, so you can see it. And that works really well. In fact, we're going to put the plan into operation now. The bait's all balled up and in. As you can see, the balls are there. They've all got pellets in, big pellets, so if they get whittled away by the little fish, there'll always be some bait there going down the river for the barbel. And yeah, let's see if it works. I've got one barbel in the net and another one on. See if we can release this one. Nice. Well, this is fish number 4. Now the 3 I've had so far all came off a baited spot, and it went quiet for half an hour, and of course I had to bait a single off the baited spot with the slow release feeder, and that's what's picked this one up. And I think the shoals got wary and backed off a little bit, and after it's gone quiet for a while, it's the bait off the side of the baited patch that's picked this one up. So it really does work. Single feeder off the bait. It's a well-known big fish tactic actually. The carp lads have been using it for years, as have I. So it works for barbel as well. It might not be a massive fish, but at a time when the fish are backing off, you know, it's picked up a bonus one, number 4. So I'm going to call it a day now. I'll show you the other fish before I go, and yeah, I'll get this one back, take a look at the others. Okay, so here's another one. This one's about £4, and it's the 3rd in about 40 minutes. It's one after another, one bite a chuck. The first one was about £5 that you've seen, then the 7, and now this one. Happy days, and they've all come to the bait. I haven't needed the other feeder off the baited patch. It hasn't been a scratching day today, which is good. Let's get him back and see if we can get another one. Well, this is a nice end to feeder fishing for barbel. This pretty little fish has tipped the scales at £7 exactly, and it's come again to the feeder that was on the bait. So I've been fishing one feeder on the baited patch, if you remember the diagram I showed you before, and I've been fishing the other feeder either in position 2 or 3 off to the left or the right, so the fish get drawn onto the bait first, and that's happened tonight, or this evening rather, and we've come up with this nice fish. So I hope you've enjoyed this look at feeder fishing for barbel, and I hope you found it of interest and that you can learn something from it and apply some of it to your own fishing. The single hook bait off the side of the baited patch works, as does the baited patch. So you're hedging your bets and it works really well. Okay, so I'll say tight lines for now. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I'll see you in another video shortly. Thanks for watching.